Pokemon Duel was released for mobile devices the other week, and this is a brand new Pokemon app, hot on the heels, well, not really, of Pokemon
However,
Go.
I don't know if you know this, but this is actually a digitalized version of an actual collectible figure game they already had.
I know that there was a game that looked a lot like this. Do you know that it actually has those same mechanics?
I think most of it. I think they
maybe
added
it's
things like you
inspired by?
couldn't modify the figure like in this. Like, your figure is what is on the
It
wheel.
is. Right. Well,
But
anyway,
I think most of it was actually. Excuse me.
it's here now. It's called Pokemon Duel, and it's free to play and download, but with in-game transactions. So if you want to try it out, you can. And from my perspective, it sort of, compared to Pokemon Go at least, came out of nowhere. Where Pokemon Go, I felt, had this hype machine behind it, and you were wondering, oh, it's going to come out this day, what is all the stuff? This was, all of a sudden, I looked online, and it was there.
I agree, and I think I have a theory behind it. I'm pretty sure this already existed. I don't know whether it's an app or whether there's an arcade machine in Japan. Because I remember the site I go to for Pokemon stuff, because I still play the game, all the actual Pokemon games. Every now and then I'll see a little spinner guy. I remember thinking like, oh, I guess that's a thing. Because Pokken actually is an arcade game over there.
Right.
So I don't know if it's an arcade system over there, or if they already have apps. So it wasn't a big deal to push on. Pokemon Go, was like, no one's had it.
It was
before.
like a worldwide launch.
Yeah.
So you think they just had this thing kicking around and they were like, tomorrow.
Sort of, yeah.
Well, we both tried it.
Yeah.
You played it a little more than I did. I basically got
Not much though.
Yeah, I basically did the tutorial and decided that I didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, no. For me,
Well, let's explain how the game actually works.
So in the game, I think it's 6 figures. You get six chosen figures. I think it's a little different depending on if you evolve them or not.
And Pokemon from across all the generations.
Right. I don't think they have a full list, or they didn't choose the first 150. I think it's just
it's like the
randomly
popular
pick
ones.
and choose. Yeah. And you make your team, and there's a board that has little dots and circles. And the point is, it's like Onitama. It's to get to the other person's fort.
Or like soccer.
Right.
You're trying to get a guy, or checkers or chess, sort of. You're trying to get a guy into
You
their
need one
goal.
guy into their goal, and that's it.
Chinese checkers, I guess. I don't
Yes, it's
Yeah. And along the way, if 2 of your figures meet, they have a battle. And the way that works is
you each have a spinner, and they spin, and they have different attacks on them, or miss, or if you played Pokemon, they have all the different moves, like you can paralyze them or sleep them or whatever.
So it's a lot of randomness. I didn't play very far, so presumably there are things you get along the way.
You can level up the guys to change the wheel, and that's why I said the physical versions didn't have that. So if you have a pretty big miss region, you can slowly shrink it.
That's cool, but by and large, it did not interest me. How about you?
Well, here's the thing: the game itself was like, okay, I could probably play this and enjoy it if it was probably a Game Boy game in which not a free-to-play app. Like the Pokemon CCG Game Boy game. But once I got through and just go into this, I'm just like, there's 50 forms of currency here. I cannot wrap my head around this. It just felt so scarily confusing. Like a really bad,
example of
Skinner box,
microtransactions. Yeah.
And the payoff was not nearly as good.
Right. The gameplay needs to encourage that kind of spending, and this really didn't.
But I also want to talk to a little bit about, just because it's not a board game, but almost think like if you're looking for a board game, it feels more. Nintendo also just released the Fire Emblem game.
Right.
And I played that a lot more. I don't think you've done too much yet. And it's funny to me because I'm like, this fits, I think it's better than both Pokemon Go and this. Because in terms of microtransactions, it's not nearly as confusing. It's sort of just this one thing. And as far as I can tell, outside of you wanting your favorite character, which everyone does in a Fire Emblem game, especially when there's a relationship aspect in it, it doesn't feel like I'm desperately needing that kind of stuff. Like they have a stamina bar, which is like the amount you can play. I think I'd have to try really hard to drain it. I would have to really be playing it. It's not like a Facebook game sometimes when you play 2 games, you're done. And it's amazing the difference between how one was like the worst I could picture of microtransaction games, or one I think is acceptable. I'll say it's not the best because it's still paying for power kind of deal.
Sure. Well, I mean, SRPGs in terms of video
And that's
games,
the other thing I wanted to.
they really are very board game like. They're
Yes.
very board game esque, and I think it makes sense to bring it up because in some ways it feels more like a board game. Well, no, the Pokemon Duel feels very much like just a bad board game. But yeah, it's, anything that's turn-based
Right.
has that kind of a feel to it, which is cool. And yet I do think from what I played it seems pretty well done. The production value is definitely there.
No, and the other thing is there is already some form of player interaction dueling. I'm a little confused how it works.
In Pokemon Duel, isn't there a multiplayer?
There might be, but I'm too scared to find out. I think it might cost me money.
It's funny.
But I mean, I'm comparing it more to the Pokemon Go one, which is
right.
I think really the big one to look at. And this one already has characters from like almost all of the Fire Emblem games, at least some, which is a big deal if you got to consider where people start, especially with when you throw in the Smash Brother games, because that I think that's one of the reasons why Fire Emblem was big in the West is because of Marth and Roy. Roy started out. Ike came later. But I just find it very curious comparing the two, how these Nintendo's throwing these in the phone app, and then of course the Mario Running game. We don't have iPhones, so neither of us have played it yet. But that's supposed to come out, I believe.
It's in March for Android.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like Fire Emblem and the Mario game, like they've been talking about those together. Pokemon Duel seems like it was from like a different team entirely, that it just happened to be released now. Like it doesn't seem like something they're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they maybe just didn't spend as much time making it good and fine-tuning those transaction details. I don't know, but it is free, so you can try it out. We recommend you don't, but it's free.
Let us know if you've downloaded either of these Nintendo apps, or actually any of them, and what your thoughts on them. Do you think they feel good? Like, would you suggest them to people who play board games? Would you say stay as far away as you can?
Maybe when you get further down the rabbit hole of Pokemon Duel, maybe it does get more intricate, more interesting.